Deacon had no intention of staying outside the office, but when he heard Sheila's voice suddenly raise, something inside him compelled him to halt and listen. Over the years he had discovered that whenever Sheila spoke in her furious, whispered tone, secrets were revealed. He leaned himself against the wall just beyond the doorframe, listening intently, attempting to decipher every word. His chest constricted as he realized Sheila and Li were not having a typical argument about family, grudges, or Finn. This was something deeper, darker, and far more disturbing. What drew his attention first was Li's wavering voice, which was normally so strong and calm but was suddenly laden with guilt. She muttered words that Deacon could barely hear. She mentioned Luna. That was all it took to stop him. Luna was meant to be gone, forgotten, lamented, and buried in the shadows of history. However, Li's quivering tone showed the polar opposite of what everyone had imagined. Luna was alive. Deacon's heart pounded in his chest. He remembered Luna, her joy, tenderness, and closeness to everyone who had previously loved her. He remembered how awful it was when the news of her death spread, causing grief not only in her family but in everyone who knew her. For years, the truth was viewed as final. Yet here was Li, admitting something to Sheila of all people and disclosing the impossible. He leaned in, his nerves on edge. Sheila's response was equally as explosive. She gave out a harsh laugh, in the low, dangerous tone she used when she realized she had power over someone. So all this time you've let them weep, you've led them to believe she's gone, when she's actually been stashed away? Sheila's remarks pierced like a scalpel, oozing with accusation and laughter. Deacon's hand tightened into a fist. He wanted to go into the room and demand answers, but something told him he needed to listen more. Li attempted to explain herself. She spoke about protection, terror, and the conditions that caused her to remain silent. She claimed Luna was in danger, and that revealing her survival would have put her in jeopardy. Sheila, however, showed no pity. Instead, she exploited Li's weakness. "You're telling me that all of my anguish and pain was a lie? You led Finn to believe she was gone. You've let so many lives fall apart, and all the while she's been breathing, hidden away like a secret you could keep." Deacon's mind raced. The revelation weighed heavily on him, threatening to shatter everything around him. His breath raced as he considered how this might affect Finn, Ridge, Brooke, Steffi, and everyone else involved in this complex family tree. The Bold and the Beautiful was founded on secrets, betrayals, and surprise returns, but one of the most shocking revelations was that Luna was still alive. Li's voice strained as she tried desperately to excuse herself. She said that Luna had not been feeling well, that she needed time to heal, and that revealing her survival would have resulted in pandemonium and danger. But Sheila refused to let her off the hook. Her voice became more nasty as time passed. She accused Li of manipulating, being nasty, and playing God with other people's emotions. She threatened to reveal the truth herself if Li did not come clean. Deacon could sense the malice in Sheila's remarks and knew she was serious. Sheila thrived on leverage, and she now had the most powerful weapon against Li. As Deacon listened, flashes of memories flooded his mind. Times when he had questioned circumstances surrounding Luna's death. Moments when little contradictions had piqued his interest, but he had dismissed them. Now it all came flooding back, creating a terrifying clarity. Li had engineered a cover-up, which Sheila had discovered. But how much longer could they maintain this secret when Sheila had no loyalty to anyone but herself? Deacon shifted uncomfortably, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. He understood he needed to be cautious. If Sheila or Li detected him eavesdropping, the implications could be serious. Inside the room, the tension increased. Sheila prodded Li harder, teasing her and forcing her to reveal every detail. "Where is she now? Where have you hidden her? Tell me, Li, or maybe I'll find out for myself." Li's voice broke, the sound of someone caught in the crossfire of her own choices. She urged Sheila to keep the secret, claiming that Luna's survival depended on it. Sheila, on the other hand, appeared to be delighted by the desperate situation. To her, information was power, and Li had just given her the most powerful bargaining chip imaginable. Deacon gulped hard. His thoughts moved to what he should do next. He couldn't keep it to himself, but he also couldn't jump in blindly. If Luna was still alive, she deserved to be reunited with her loved ones. She deserved to emerge from the shadows and recover her place in the world. However, if Sheila is already pulling strings, Luna could be in even more danger than before. Deacon knew Sheila. He had witnessed her at her worst. She would take advantage of this till she achieved her goal. As the minutes ticked by, Deacon felt caught between the want to act and the need for caution. He couldn't disclose himself now. With Sheila in the room and Li surrounded and defensive, he had to wait for the appropriate moment and, more crucially, pick who he could trust with this information. His thoughts turned to Hope, his daughter, the one he'd always longed to protect. Can she handle the truth? Would she understand why he had kept it to himself till the appropriate time? Should he go straight to Finn, who has the most to lose or gain from Luna's return? The sounds in the office became louder, with Sheila mocking and Li shivering with remorse. It was a fight between morals and manipulation, secrets and threats. Deacon felt the entire weight of it bear down on him, and with each word, his resolve became stronger. He had discovered a life-changing secret, one that might fracture families, heal old scars or spark new wars. Li finally broke down. She revealed that Luna had been in her care all along, healing in an unknown location. Her words hung in the air like a frail thread, bringing them all together in unexpected ways. The hours that followed were filled with heated debates, half-hearted assurances, and an unspoken anxiety of what the future contained. Li made plans for medical appointments, agreeing to keep Luna's situation confidential until she was prepared to face the storm. Despite her typical propensity to take advantage of situations, Sheila held back, while her vigilant gaze never left Luna. By nightfall, the weight of the discovery had descended on them like a heavy blanket. Things would never be the same again. Luna's pregnancy altered the course of their whole lives, connecting their fortunes in ways neither of them could have predicted. But deep inside, Luna clung to one frail hope, that the small heartbeat within her could be the key to redemption, the reason she would finally be free of her previous misdeeds. She didn't sure if the world would forgive her or if Will would support her, but she knew one thing for certain. She was no longer fighting for herself. She was battling for the future that was developing within her, a future dangerously balanced between truth, forgiveness, and survival. Dazed, Will screams out for Electra and recalls the previous night. Will remembers getting up and dressing, being with his girlfriend at the party, and Deacon bringing him up to the room. Deacon, who has experienced hangovers, arrives with food and tells Will about the memorable party. Will grins, admitting that certain details are foggy, but he is correct. It was a night he will never forget. In Forrester's design office, Ivy admires Electra's most recent piece of jewelry and fantasizes about the wonderful future she hopes to share with Will Spencer. They go over the enormous celebration, and Ivy realizes Will has not arrived yet. Electra claims she did not receive an answer to her text last night. They are certain he is hungover, but he will feel better tonight. Electra, unaware that Will already believes they've shared their first time, exclaims that it will be perfect, and that Will wants no one else except her. Will Luna have regrets? At Li's house, she questions Luna about where she went last night. Luna smiles and recalls overserving Will, and then raping him. Sheila arrives and gets into her granddaughter as well. You can't simply disappear. Where were you yesterday night? Luna smiles like a cat that ate a canary. Luna claims she went for a walk while Li yells about her possible return to jail. Luna swears that she has everything under control. Sheila supports Li as they continue to warn her. Luna appreciates Li reaching out to an attorney on her behalf, but she has her own plans. Sheila and Li narrow their eyes and ask her to confess. Luna scoffs. If this is how Li raised her father, it's no surprise he enjoys being bossed around by Steffi. Li screams that he turned out much better than her and storms out. Sheila presses her granddaughter for the truth. Luna says that she went to see someone important last night. Sheila guesses Finn first, followed by Will Spencer. Luna admits she found Will at his party and served him alcohol. Sheila establishes that he did not recognize her. Luna gushes that she is happier than she has ever been. Last night was the best night of her life. Sheila wants her to reveal all the details. Luna says she gave Will exactly what he wanted, which Electra Forrester Miss Prissy would never offer him. Sheila and Luna laugh with glee. Will's big shock at Forrester. Electra tells Ivy that Will is willing to wait for her. She's excited for tonight. Will walks in and she embraces him. He confesses he had a hangover, but it passed as he thought of Electra and last night. Ivy grants them privacy and Will an electric kiss. Last night was amazing, he says. He can't believe how it ended. It was a big night for us. Will mentions Electra's return, and she jokes that he must have been quite intoxicated because she didn't return. As they embrace, Will's terrified expression says it all. Luna went into the dimly lighted room with a sense of accomplishment, her smile revealing a wild excitement that seemed to emanate from every part of her. The glow on her face was apparent, the look of someone who had done something risky, which she believed gave her an advantage and could be used as a weapon if necessary. Sheila was already waiting, poised on the edge of the sofa, her keen stare fixed on the young woman, as if trying to decipher every secret she harbored. Sheila knew Luna well enough to grasp that when she came in like this, it meant she was eager to chat, brag, and make someone understand how untouchable she felt at the time. "You should have seen me last night," Luna remarked, her chuckle sharper than she wanted, but it didn't bother her. "It was perfect, Sheila. Absolutely perfect. They had no idea. None of them. I danced, I drank, and I made sure everyone in that room knew I was the brightest. And the best part? No one suspected anything. I walked out of there like I owned the night." Sheila shook her head, suspicious as always. She'd heard such brags before, but Luna's tone tonight was different. Sheila stiffened because it was more than simply arrogance. There was a vein of cruelty threaded through her words. Despite her own crimes, premeditated games, and manipulations, Sheila could tell when someone else was sliding into a place even more deadly than she herself frequently dared. "And you're telling me this," Sheila continued slowly and quietly, "because you want to impress me? Or do you want me to cover for you if everything comes back around?" Luna smirked as she leaned back and tossed her hair over her shoulder. "I don't need someone to cover for me. I'm smarter than that. But it feels nice to tell someone, to let you know that I'm not simply some naive young girl everyone expects to push around. I'm the one tugging the strings now. They don't realize it yet, but they will soon." Sheila narrowed her eyes. Luna had been playing these games for decades, building webs and watching people get trapped in them, but her confidence was laced with unease, as if she were balancing on a precarious ledge with no idea how far she could fall. And then there was Will. He had been standing outside the door, his hand hovering just over the frame while he debated whether to knock or wait. He hadn't meant to overhear, but Luna's voice echoed through the walls, each word like a dagger. He froze when he heard her brag, each sentence twisting in his thoughts, filling in spaces he had never wanted to think about. The things she said built a terrifying picture, one he had been avoiding for weeks but could no longer deny. If Luna had been bearing it in quiet, he couldn't take it any longer. Sheila continued to exert her influence inside the office. "You need me, Li." Sheila's voice was seductive and manipulative. "You can't keep this hidden anymore. But I can help you. I can make sure everything turns out in a way that favors both of us." Li's reaction was muted, strangled, and desperate. "No. No one knows. Not yet." "Oh, sweetheart," Sheila purred. "They'll know. Whether you like it or not. The only question is, how do you want it to happen? Do you want me as your enemy or ally?" Deacon shook his head and crushed the cigarette beneath his shoe. He had heard enough. If Sheila offered to be an ally, it was just to strengthen her grip. Li was in over her head, and Luna's life hung in the balance. He walked quickly to his automobile, each step reverberating with determination. He couldn't keep it bottled up. He needed advice. He needed someone he could trust. But who? Hope was the one he wanted to protect the most. However, she was the only person who continuously saw the good in him and supported his efforts to improve. Perhaps she could guide him through this without destroying lives. But Finn's life was going to change the most. If Deacon concealed this from him, would he be as culpable as Li? He slipped into the driver's seat and held the steering wheel so firmly that his knuckles became white. He mumbled to himself, "What the hell am I supposed to do?" The drive home seemed forever, his thoughts louder than the engine's hum. He envisioned Finn's reaction if he discovered Luna was alive. Disbelief, hope, and betrayal at Li's lies. He envisioned Sheila's arrogant grin as she exposed the truth first, claiming to have spared everyone from Li's deception. And he imagined Luna herself, returning to a society that had long since buried her. A world that would demand explanations she might be unable to provide. By the time he arrived at his destination, His mind was in turmoil. He poured himself a glass of whiskey, expecting that it would calm the storm within him, but it did not. Every sip stoked the flames of indecision. He roamed the living room while grumbling to himself. I can't let Sheila handle this. But telling Finn might have disastrous consequences. If I wait too long, Sheila will make a move. Damn it, what should I do? Memories of his previous blunders tormented him. He had remained mute when he should have spoken up. He had allowed others to twist the truth until it was too late to repair the harm. He couldn't continue the cycle. Not with something this large. Hours passed and he still struggled with his decision. Finally, when dawn's first light filtered through the slats, he made a whispered vow. He would track down Luna himself. He needed to meet her in person to establish that she was still alive. Only then could he choose how to tell the truth. Because once it was out, there would be no turning back. Meanwhile, back in Li's office, Sheila leaned back in her chair. A delighted smirk on her lips. She had Li right where she wanted her. Afraid, cornered, and defenseless. She could and would use the secret now. Li sat trembling with her hands buried in her face, muttering to herself, "What have I done?" The explanation was obvious. She had kept a daughter alive but hidden from the world, and now the truth was slipping away from her grip. And whether he wanted it or not, Deacon Sharp was about to become the only man who could determine how the greatest secret in Los Angeles would be revealed.